The original title of this video was The Truth About Jewelry Bonnie. I covered Jewelry Bonnie's lineage. It's a follow-up to the video where I break down what the One Piece is. However, in an attempt to make a thumbnail of Jewelry Bonnie's parents, I decided to use artificial intelligence to create my thumbnails. I asked several more questions, so I'm going to show you several images that it created, and I'd like you to guess what question I asked it in the comments below. Then I'm going to show you what one of the artificial intelligence frameworks did when I fed it photos of both of Jewelry Bonnie's parents. So most of you likely already guessed who Jewelry D. Bonnie is, considering how hard it was foreshadowed. But for those who haven't, I will make it quick for you. Jewelry Bonnie is likely one of three people, and I will explain who, beginning with the least likely. Person number 3. She may be this woman. It's a stretch, and not my personal choice. I explained what the One Piece was as well as who Bonnie is over a year ago, and out of nowhere, a random person challenged my theory with this. I'm not the type of person who argues with logic and following my own logic. This person's theory is just as likely, and for those of you not following, this is Big Mom's mother. The assumption is that her power rolled her age back. This is doubtful, but not impossible. Person number 2. This part can get a little confusing because for some odd reason in the anime, Oda had them make Bonnie's eyes purple. However, in the manga, they are brown, much like one Porcus D. Rogue. Or is it Rouge? Let's go with Rouge, who is a slender woman with long, wavy, pink blonde hair. Though in the anime, again, Oda had them make it blonde, except for this one scene that was suspiciously thrown in. Also, much like Porcus D. Rouge and Porcus D. Ace, she is also from the South Blue. She kept Ace in her womb for 20 months, using a trick that can only be called a mother's pride, or she is really Jewelry Bonnie, and she either raised her age or lowered it to avoid detection. Or maybe she had someone occasionally make her a male, much like Monkey D. Dragon, who is obviously Luffy's mother disguised as a man via Ivankov's devil fruit powers, which is another thing that I pointed out a few years back, but we'll come back to that someday. Either way, I still don't buy it though. It's possible. Not likely, because the person I firmly believe Jewelry D. Bonnie is pretty obvious. Let's look at some quick evidence. Bonnie eats a lot. Like a lot. She's even been called the Big Eater or the Glutton. Most assume it's because of her devil fruit, but when has that ever been a prerequisite? Aside from Luffy, cramming food in your mouth is solely the domain of people like Bonnie, Big Mom, Katakuri, maybe Smoothie's thick ass, and Perospero. Big Mom's children are all mutants. Katakuri ate so much his cheeks split. Sparrow is always licking something. He should check out Grindr. And just like Big Mom, Smoothie literally eats people. She should check out Dahmer on Netflix. Big Mom was desperate to get Judge's genetic research, I think, to cure her and her children of their hunger pains. I mean, bro, do you know how many donuts you gotta eat? How hungry you gotta be to have your face split open from eating donuts? I firmly believe Big Mom was a government experiment gone wrong. Alright, so let's recap. Jewelry Bonnie has pink hair, brown eyes, and can't stop eating. The government fears her. Sound familiar? Bonnie is Big Mom's daughter. It's so obvious, but who's her father? Also obvious. The facts speak for themselves. Exactly 2 years before Ace was born, Roger snuck into Tataland to steal Big Mom's poneglyph, or a copy of it. Bonnie is only a couple of years older than Ace. Bonnie was completely torn apart over Ace's death. They couldn't even console her. Why? She swore that she would never forgive the government. Why? But why though? There are no links aside from one. Much like Ace, Blackbeard handed Bonnie over to the world government. It would explain why she was in tears because of Ace's death and why she said she'd never forgive the government, and also why Akainu said the following when he caught Bonnie. When I heard you had fled the government, a chill ran down my spine. Why? She's part of the worst generation, but she did literally nothing during that arc aside from demand food and stuff her face. Oh, and remember that artificial intelligence framework I used? This was the final thing it made for me. I used a different one, but... Jewelry D. Bonnie is the love child of Big Mom and Gold D. Roger. It also explains two things. One, why Roger said, maybe my son will go to Laugh-Tale. He said son, not child. Rayleigh also pointed out that he didn't have a son, not child. He said you don't have a son. Oddly specific, but hardly enough to believe that they were insinuating that he has a daughter. Except, coupled with the following statement, it becomes a little bit more obvious. No, I got a copy of Linland's poneglyph which I took by force. What? It's the last part that always bothered me. Which I took by force. Nigga, how else were you gonna get it? Also, you went in solo? You said I took by force, not we, not us. This nigga frontin' like a mom. And they just happen to show her sexy silhouette. So again, you just had to point out that you took it by force. There's no way on earth Roger just rolled into Big Mom's territory and there wasn't a huge straight out war that we haven't heard of. So he had to go by himself. And he just conveniently had to point out that he took it by force. It makes no sense. Why add that part? It always stuck out to me when he said that. Like, why did you have to point that out? And then they showed that sexy silhouette of her. So it becomes kind of obvious what happened there. Roger pulled a Coyote Ugly on Big Mom. He says by force because he didn't want his niggas trashing him for checking to see if Big Mom was the throat goat. So yeah, there you have it. Jewelry Bonnie is the child of Big Mom and Goldie Roger. I'd like to hear the thoughts that you have in the comments below. Please subscribe and it will hopefully help me keep my lights on. Muten Broshi out. Jana.